don't know that I feel comfortable if my doctor just asked the computer what to do.
Well, when you put it that way, because then people are like, I can just do this from home.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Get that soldering iron. We got to close this up.
Help me with hip-hop. Let's get it right. Protect your patience. Day and night. Donna and David, the experts on your side. Help me with hip-hop. Let's get it right.
So, Donna, we haven't talked enough about AI, and nobody's heard enough about it. Matter of fact, some people don't even know it exists. Oh, man. But today we're going to be talking about AI having a patient safety problem. And
Yeah.
the harder part is going to be keeping this focused. Because
Well, that's
there's
always a problem for us.
It is. There's a lot of issues with AI. Just like anything else, there's tons of ways it's going to be super valuable. And there's tons of scary, scary stories already coming out all the time about it. So, and this is it's kind of a tough topic really when you talk about it, because, you know, I have people say, well, I don't do anything with AI. I don't use it at all. And then I start naming off all these different programs. They're like, yeah, we use that. We use that. We use that. And I'm like, then you're using it. You just don't know you're using it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's, you know, honestly, probably in a very short time frame, I doubt there's going to be anybody not using AI to some degree, whether they know it or not. So anyway,
it's everywhere. Even when you don't know it's there, it's there. Ooh, you.
It's going to be ubiquitous. Speaking of ubiquitous, we have the PriceTech Boot Camp coming up, and it is May 13 through 16. It will be the 2025 version. Don't know if there'll be a second one this year. There typically is not a second one. So for now, we're going to say it's the only one of 2025. If you are interested, go to PriceTechBootCamp.com. It will be in Stone Mountain, Georgia. 4 days of complete and utter bliss. That's right.
That's right. 4 days with us. Who wouldn't want that?
I know. Ho, ho, ho. Nerds. Who wouldn't go?
Well, y'all come join us, you hear?
Yeah. So it's going to be great. We've already talked in pretty good detail about what it involves. I think it was last week or week before. I don't know. But
recently.
But if you go to PriceTechBootCamp.com, there's more information there. You can also hit us up, email, social media, whatever. We can send you more information. There's tons of information out there. The agenda is posted on the website, so you can see everything we'll be doing for those 4 days. It's going to be a blast. So get your tickets now, because seating is extremely limited.
Oh, and this comes out right before the end of the early bird. So if you're listening now, as it comes out, early bird ends soon, April 13th. So get your, your deal now, because it gets way more expensive.
Yes, I do. All right. We're going to talk about a resolution agreement that hit Friday late. So, I don't understand why that happened. It was like after closing time.
I don't know what, they just put them out there and they sit in a queue to go out on that listserv. You know how those work.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's the fifth one that's an SRA one.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's a little, well, we're not surprised by, in general, surprised, but it is surprising just how bad it is.
Yeah. It's, again, you look at it and you're like, I
know.
People aren't learning.
They just don't listen.
But this one's coming from a business associate. So hear that, folks. Business associate.
Yes.
All right.
It does happen to business associates. If you're a business associate, and if you're a covered entity, make sure you point out to your business associate, this is a business associate. So this is Health Fitness, a business associate in Illinois. They do wellness plans for covered entities all over the country. So they get contracted to do these plans and manage them, I think. So what happened was between October 2018 and in 2018 and January 2019, OCR got 4 different breach reports from them on behalf of their covered entities.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why we tell the covered entities to make your business associate do the notification. This is also why the business associates want the covered entity to do the notification.
That's right. I have my views on it from a business associate. The big problem I have, with it, the concern I have with it is you better make sure your business associate knows what they're doing, because you don't want them reporting on your behalf and then making a bigger mess than what's already there.
I know. Yeah, you need to have stuff in your contract about how that's going to be handled.
Yeah.
Most of them will say, just something really innocuous like, okay, you're going to let us know and you'll pay for it. But it doesn't say what they'll pay for. It doesn't say who's going to write the letter or who's going to approve it, any of those things. So it's important.
It's like, do you want your business associate notifying your patients or the media? No.
Yeah. I've gotten the ones from the business associates and I have no idea who the covered entity was. So they do like doing that. But when they got those 4, it did get the attention, as we would expect. So what they were having to notify for, okay, so they're notifying in the end of 2018, beginning of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That's important to note, because in August 2015, so 4 years earlier, somebody made a change to the configuration of a web-facing server that allowed internet search engines to index all the PHI on it. Awesome sauce.
Yeah.
To make that even worse, nobody found it until June 2018. So this went on for almost 3 full years. Somebody discovered. Can you imagine the person that realizes that? The tension they had to have felt before they go tell somebody, just having to tell somebody you found it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, you are looking for things of your arch enemy.
Yeah.
And then you have, I told you I was right. But no, I can't imagine. I don't like telling anybody bad news like this. So, since we're talking about it, you know that it was an SRA, and you know that there has been some sort of settlement. So, they agreed to pay $227,816 and go on a 2-year corrective action plan. Interesting.
Yep.
And we have our, as always, quote from the acting director, Anthony Archeville, I'm never going to get it right. I know that's wrong now, but that's all I got.
I don't know that we ever have an OCR director that we don't flub the name up.
Samuelson, we did good. That was one that we had. We did pretty good with that one, but all the others we kind of messed up.
Yeah. All right. So in his quote, he says, conducting an accurate and thorough risk analysis is not only required, but it's also the first step to prevent or mitigate breaches of EPHI. No kidding. Effective cybersecurity includes knowing who has access to EPHI and ensuring that it is secure. So,
yeah, that ain't wrong.
Mm-mm.
So we've done several SRA episodes. We've gone over it and over it and over it. If you want to know how to do an SRA properly, we're talking you through it. That's as much as we can do.
Yep.
Sorry. All right. So on to our topic for the day. AI has a patient safety problem.
Indeed.
And, I saw an article that was mentioning this report, which, I skipped the article, went to the report because we're always more interested in the report. Because our little tagline with the Health Sector Coordinating Council Cybersecurity Working Group, or HSCC, cyber safety is patient safety. We have it on everything. We say it all the time. I won one of those little medallions. It's even on there.
Yep. It's like hot sauce, man. We put that on everything.
By the sector, for the sector, cyber safety is patient safety. So that, of course, then anything that's got patient safety and a technology thing like AI, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go look at it. But not only did I see that, this report is from ECRI, and it's an organization that's a nonprofit that focuses on research-based improvements to patient safety, trying to alleviate any avoidable medical incident like that to protect the patients. So they have all these experts, all over the place. Everything from doctors and nurses to risk management and health IT people, anything you can imagine in between that has healthcare knowledge, and they bring in experts and they say, okay, what do you think are going to be the top patient safety concerns for the year? And then they have a committee of experts that then go through all of the submissions, and they pick their top 10, and they base it on this criteria. And you get to say the one that this is what they say they base it on. So you hit the list, because I'm going to flub too many things.
So the first one is severity. So how serious would the harm be to patients if the safety issue were to occur? So that's something most of us look at, right?
Yeah.
The frequency. So how likely is it for the safety issue to occur? And I'm guessing how often. The breadth. So is the safety issue were to occur, how many patients would be affected? And then my favorite, insidiousness.
Yeah.
Is the problem difficult to recognize or challenging to rectify once it occurs? And I think a lot of these are yes. Give me a 10 on that one. And then the last one is profile. Would the safety issue place a lot of pressure on the organization? So these are interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard of some of these being used to measure. So pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. So they debate this, and it's probably a lot like what the committee that selected the football playoffs used to do, but way more serious.
Yeah.
But the top 10 items, I'm looking at them, and I'm expecting just this AI one, and I notice not only is there something about AI, but also cybersecurity on there. So items 2 and 4 of the top 10 have to do with us. Insufficient governance of artificial intelligence in healthcare, and then medical errors and delays in care resulting from cybersecurity breaches.
Mm-hmm.
We got hit twice.
Mm-hmm.
So, technology matters today.
Yeah.
And here's the big thing of, when it comes to AI, it's great. It can save your life, but if it doesn't kill you first. So,
yeah.
When they were talking about AI, so this report is really cool because they take each one of these areas and they explain the scenario, like what are we worried about with this? What's happening that makes us concerned? And then they go through from there to their recommendations about how we can better protect patient safety. And then they go to resources and references of all the stuff that they use, like papers they've released, devices, and all kinds of stuff. References. So this is not just, hey, our company says do stuff. I prefer to, take this kind of information and really take it to heart and use it. And so they point out the thing that we've already talked about, and you remember back right after ChatGPT was released, and we did that episode where we interviewed it.
Yeah. It's a lot smarter now. We should try again.
I know. We should interview it again. I think we should. But we did interview ChatGPT about its use in healthcare. So, and the things it brought up then, still concerns. Bias, meaning, it's preconceived notions based on the knowledge it has. Transparency, who's doing it and where are they doing it and where's it coming from and who's in charge and how up to date is it. And then, of course, privacy and security concerns, they point out, can have a unique and dangerous consequence in healthcare. They ain't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So bad data means bad decisions. AI-related errors, you're going to have a hard time figuring out where that came from. And bias built in to these algorithms is going to make any disparity that already exists even worse because it's using data that already had that built in. So that was their point. And then they were like, you know what? In 2023, 16% of hospital executives surveyed said they actually had an organization-wide AI governance policy for usage and data access. So that's 2023. It was just taking off in. Hopefully that number's higher. But another survey in 2024, over 2,000 registered nurses. So not a small sampling. 60% of them, when asked, do you agree or disagree with this statement? 60% disagreed. So they do not believe this statement is true. What is that statement, David?
They do not believe the statement is true. I trust my employer will implement AI with patient safety as the first priority. Don't believe it.
Can't
That's
say
scary.
I can argue with him. I mean, but I'm surprised at the number.
Yeah. But and then the other thing is patients surveyed are also not completely on board with the whole AI making decisions.
No, they're uncomfortable. Over 10,000 were surveyed in 2022, and they're like, I don't know that I feel comfortable if my doctor just asked the computer what to do.
Well, when you put it that way. Because then people are like, I can just do this from home.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Get that soldering iron. We got to close this up.
I think I've tried that before.
I'm not surprised. And 75% of the patients surveyed said that they were concerned they would adopt AI too fast. So there's nobody that thinks this is going to be done well or properly, and nobody's paying attention.
Yeah. The other thing, too, that I guess it comes to mind for me is if 60% disagree that the employer is going to implement AI with patient safety as the first priority, to me, that speaks to there must have been times where other things were implemented without patient safety being a first priority.
Our answers are generally based on experience, yes.
Yeah. So I'm more concerned about what that is than I am the AI part of it.
There are things that I have heard in my career that you don't want to know, of decisions that were made and why they were made. So their point is that failure to develop system-wide governance to evaluate them, you need to decide how you're going to do that first, actually implement them, oversee them, and monitor new and current applications may also increase their liability risk. Now, that might get their attention. So they do acknowledge, though, the downside is this changing so fast. I mean, I don't know about you. I struggle with knowing what it is to even, teach people.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, whatever I'm teaching you tomorrow might be different.
Yeah, I'm working on a presentation right now for next week, and I've already had to tweak it like twice.
Something's changed, yeah.
Yeah. And I think the last I read the other day was that they're saying the AI is improving to a great degree. They didn't say doubling. It's improving to a great degree every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, what's that rule? What's that rule?
The Moore's Law?
Moore's Law, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like blowing Moore's Law up.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of these platforms, we talked about when ChatGPT came out, how it had the fastest adoption of any platform, since Facebook. Well, now these platforms, that's even being blown off the map. These platforms are coming out and getting, 10 million users within a weekend sometimes. I don't even know if you know about this, Donna, but there's already been another platform from China that is exploding right now. And DeepSeek is old news. Nobody even talks about DeepSeek anymore.
Yeah, you rarely see it. Yeah,
there's another one.
No, I know. Now I remember seeing something go past me, but not absorbing.
Yeah. So supposedly, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but supposedly this is the first, general AI, not generative AI, but the one that was, that everybody says is the next iteration of AI. Supposedly this is it, but nobody's fully sure if that's true.
Okay. So clearly that does make all of this hard. How am I going to get my hands around it when as soon as I grab it, it's gone? So these were their recommendations. And I do like that they break it down into 4 areas: culture, leadership, and governance. And they do this for all of the different problems: patient and family engagement, workforce safety and wellness, and learning system. So establish policies, define processes, assign responsibility for the governance, implementation, oversight, and monitoring of AI solutions. Now, we've said this many times. You need to have a committee because every part of your business could implement AI. This is not an IT thing. You could use this and not even tell IT. They won't know. So you can't treat it like that.
There's a whole debate right now about how IT is probably going to change to where IT is now basically becoming the HR department of all the AI bots and agents that'll be running.
Oh, that's interesting and makes sense. It makes sense. So the second thing that they suggest is basically what I just said. Form a multidisciplinary committee to evaluate new technologies that incorporate AI and determine risk. Include representatives from leadership, clinical, human factor engineering, clinical engineering and clinical services, 2 different pieces, patient safety and risk management, like everywhere. Ensure that organizational policies on the use of AI and medical technologies align with federal, state, and local laws and regulations, and monitor developments in these areas and update as needed. We know how slow the law is. The law, I fought the law and the law lost is what AI is going to say. The laws aren't going to keep up because unless they have new ways of making them. Train staff on the policies that you have on the usage and data access and who they should go to if they have a problem, and assess safety and clinical outcomes related to the practices impacted by AI and any effects that it may have on healthcare disparities. So they're actually saying not only do you have to figure it out and monitor it like you would other IT things, but you have to monitor its results to make sure that you're getting the results that are appropriate and not creating new problems or hurting patients, which is, the ideal. Which then Takes us to the patient and family engagement section. Great segue to disclose the use of AI to your patients. Now, I'm speaking at a conference. This is the first time I've seen it, that you're supposed to put that AI generated content on the page. If it's anything but a picture's fine. But if it generated content on a page, then you're supposed to put a note that says some of this content was AI generated. Well, I didn't see that till I was done. And, all the time I'm saying things really technical. And so I use AI and I say, this is what I'm trying to say. This is my audience. Can you make this sound better? Like something they will understand. So I don't know where I used it. And I'm not going to start over. So I just put it at the end and I said, somewhere this content was used to take technical language and make it more understandable. And it was like, I just put it at the end. I'm like, I don't know. I could have used that anywhere. Me and ChatGPT, or Chad as we call it at our office. Thank you, Elizabeth. They ask for feedback, say get feedback from the patients to see if they're happy about it. Is it easy to use? Is it making you angry? Surely okay, I don't know about you, David, but the chat bots, some of them get on my nerves because I have something that it doesn't have in its list of things it can do. Right. Yeah. And it's like, it'll go and look up all these support things and try to give me the answer. But it assumes that every single person is going to have the same problem. Mm-hmm. Now, you and I don't call for help or chat with something that's not complex.
No. And I get frustrated with AI. I got mad at it yesterday. I was asking it a question because I was doing the verbal back and forth. Apparently, it can't understand me sometimes.
I don't know why.
And I'm yelling at it. I was like, and a part of me, as I'm yelling at this thing, I'm laughing because I'm yelling at it. And then I'm also thinking, when it takes over the world, it's going to kill me.
It already hates you.
It's like, back in March of 2025, you yelled at us and said some explicits, and we're going to kill you for that.
We're going to send Chucky after you. Yeah.
I
know. Engage patient and family advisory councils. That's a good thing about designing appropriate messages and to educate patients about us using generative AI. Because, people that are using it don't understand it. People that you're using it on probably don't understand it either.
No. It's funny. I was talking to my parents the other day. I was like, have you guys used any of the AI stuff that's been out a couple of years? And they're like, nope.
I was asking young folks that, engineers and stuff, and we hadn't gotten around to it. And I'm like, do it.
Yeah. But I think part of the problem is it's so vast. It's like, you don't even know where to start or what to do.
Yeah. There's all kinds of cool things you can do with it. Next time you want to go on a trip, have it help you figure it out. What roads to take, how, I want to drive this long and be able to take a break. Where's a rest area? It will figure all that out. Mm-hmm. And there's stuff that you still have to go, wait a minute, that's wrong. And it's like, my bad.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I love it when it does that to me. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
let me just change my answer. I'm like,
that's a good idea. How do we fix that? That's probably a better approach. Yeah, one time it gave me a route, and I'm like, this is like 3 hours longer than the other one. Mm-hmm. And I later figured out why it gave me that one, but I was like, why would you send me out of my way? I now know what I said, like in 1 or 2 words, it said, oh, you want to go out of your way.
Yeah. I asked it something recently about HIPAA, and it gave me an answer, and I was like, that's not right. And matter of fact, I didn't even respond to it that way. It just came out of my mouth. I'm like, that's not right. And then it was like, oh, you're correct. It was a mistake. And
yeah, this being able to talk to it, I have to turn that off because then we go down the wrong path so many times.
You'll argue with it and you'll cuss at it, and it'll kill you one day.
All right. So speaking of that, workforce safety and wellness.
I know. You're going to have like mental health people to talk to you because AI made you so mad.
Mm-hmm. So ensure the organization performs human factors-based assessments of clinical workflows when new technologies that incorporate AI are implemented to determine potential impacts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Still got to have the people looking at the AI.
Yeah. And this is the thing that we can't stress enough. Do not assume these things are always right.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they'll be wrong at the weirdest time.
The funny part is we've got AI tools monitoring human activity. Now we're going to have humans monitoring AI activity.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Regularly assess the user experience of staff related to AI applications. We should be doing that with the software, but people don't do it with the other software. They should be doing it with things like, medical records. I was talking with some folks at an office and they were telling me about this. We tried this system and it was horrible. It was like everything took 10 steps. And I was like, oh, I know what that means. The developers wrote it without ever watching somebody do that work or asking questions of somebody doing that work. Mm-hmm. And, I've heard developers complain, oh, I'm sorry, they don't want to have to click here. They want to click over there, or they want to remove that click. I can't believe I'm having to do this. And I was like, you do that 5,000 times a day and see how important that is. So anyway. And here's an important one. Take staff concerns related to operation and use of AI seriously and investigate and address them. I mean, we got to do that. And then finally, a robust reporting system for medical incidents, errors, adverse events that are related to AI, and review the organization's current incident reporting system to ensure it can capture AI-associated concerns. Emphasize to staff that AI is a tool, and they should defer to their own clinical judgment and seek second opinions when questioning clinical decisions or diagnoses aided by AI. Educate staff on how to identify incidents, errors, or adverse events that could be attributed to AI functionality, including those related to privacy, accuracy, misdiagnosis, and potential bias, and encourage staff to report such errors as they would any other anomaly. So one of the things, on the Health Sector Coordinating Council, there's all these different task groups. And, 405D has now been blended into a whole lot of other task groups that we're part of now. And one of the ones that's just coming up that I'm involved in, and I can't talk you into, is about AI. And we're in this meeting like, okay, this is really broad. What are we going to do? And a big conversation has been about governance and not having a first clue what to do from a governance perspective. So good news is this is just reiterating that our conversations really need to be had. But I saw an email where we're on the email chain and people are like, if you have an idea of things, where should we cover it or should it be covered? It just kind of going out to the list. And somebody was like, has anybody figured out, are we doing incident response for AI problems? What if we're counting on an AI system and it goes down? We don't, what if we think somebody hacked that? I don't know that I put that on any radar. Is it on yours? You just start laughing.
I'm at the point with AI stuff. It's almost like I'm waiting on the dust to settle a little bit or slow down, but I don't see it slowing down. And so it's just like, I'm running beside the train going, I know I'm going to get hurt when I try to jump on the train, but if I don't jump on now, it's just going to get faster.
And you're going to wear out, buddy. You're going to wear out.
So, I mean, I'm all about the tools and all that, but it just starts getting complicated when you're talking about AI being implemented in areas where you as the user you don't really have that say so. Like we're talking about people who are developing the tools or baking it in. And so there's are we talking about direct interaction with AI? We're talking about indirect interaction with AI. How much control do you have? How much oversight do you have? There's so many questions to be answered right now. It's mind boggling.
And it's not going to get better. It's not. So you better jump on that train. Grab a hold of something.
Stop the train. I want to get off.
Yeah, in my presentation, I have a picture of a bullet train and tell people this bullet train has left the station. You better get on. I actually do have that in one of my presentations. So
yeah,
the bullet train.
Have you ever been on a bullet train,
David?
Have you ever been on one of those? They're fast.
No, they are fast. I've seen them.
I was on one in Japan, and I was texting my wife, and I was like, check Life 360 to see how fast I'm going.
That's such a nerdy thing.
I know.
So that's the AI thing. But now let's talk about the cybersecurity part of it, where, I mean, we've talked about many times of, there's a long list of things that happen when there's a cyber attack. Now, obviously, it's way worse at a hospital than it is at a medical practice, but depending on what the practice is, it could be, very, very bad, no matter what you're talking about. So, I blended in our list and their list, and, the sheer number of different ways that you can have a cyber attack, first of all, is hard to know. Is it an insider? Is it a ransomware or business email compromise? What's going on? But what we do know from statistical analysis, math, it's in everything. We have a higher mortality rate. If you're in the hospital when it's hit with a cyber attack, you're more likely to die. And that's just Medicare patients. It doesn't, they had like a higher, like another, like for every 4, there was another patient that would die. If this hospital normally had 4, that had a cyber attack that day, 5 people would die. And that's significant. You would delay test results. So how often are they doing surgeries and they want the path done? They're going to do pathology on the tumor to make sure they've gotten clean edges, those kind of things. It could interrupt access to medication. I can't get my meds. And as you mentioned earlier, some of us have to stay on them pretty consistently.
Mm-hmm. Or need to be.
I know, right? It could cause longer hospital stays or worsen the outcomes. It overloads nearby hospitals and medical practices if they aren't hit. So we want those other ones to know. And that's actually a thing that one group is working on, to figure out how to detect when a hospital is having a cyber attack and then alleviate them from having to let everybody know. They just confirm with them and then let everybody know that it's going on. But we've seen it happen with medical practices too. That, primary care, allergy care, it doesn't matter what it is. If people need that care today, they've got to go somewhere else if you can't treat them. The delay in treatment for patients getting regular therapy for anything from cancer to allergies is going to have an impact. And the stress it adds to the patient is really, really not going to help their condition. And then you've got the stress and the burnout that it creates for the staff. Because the staff is really overwhelmed because they're trying to treat with one arm tied behind their back. And some of them hopping on one foot.
Yeah. It reminds me of when we were looking at the Scripps ransomware attack back a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And you saw a lot of these things happening in real time.
Yeah. And that was a very scary thing because we're watching the social media as it's occurring. And, it got dark really quick. And, and the other thing above and beyond those, completely separate, is if the patient records are lost in an attack, and that does happen, that impacts patient safety with a lot of things. You could lose important findings. There's access to care history you don't know, and you no longer know if the records you do have are accurate because they might not be complete.
Yeah. And then, imagine being the patient. Now you've got to go and do all the tests again to get new results? I mean, it's a massive amount of issue. Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for it?
And it's not my fault. And insurance is like, well, we already paid for it. So that's a whole nother discussion. But with all that in mind, it's kind of, we always say, if you want the shiny toys, you got to know that there's a flip side. We spend every day trying to get people to understand that technology is great, but terrifying. And you should treat it like it's both.
Yep.
So anyway, we got our what they suggested to do pretty much meets all the things, I think, except they do include some stuff about patient and family engagement, which I thought was interesting. But devote adequate time and resources to cybersecurity concerns and build cybersecurity into organizational policies. It's not something that stays in IT. Okay. Use resources such as those highlighted in the NIST cybersecurity framework to develop your organization's governance over cybersecurity matters, ensuring policies and procedures include clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Not my job, not my problem. That's somebody else does it. Monitor compliance with your cybersecurity policies and procedures. And this is where I was like, they said NIST cybersecurity framework and they didn't mention anything about these other things. But they point out, take an enterprise risk management approach to achieve comprehensive cybersecurity risk. And they suggested using guidance from NIST, Joint Commission, and HICCUP. How about that? HICCUP's in there. Even small organizations and large organizations. Takes you right to the technical manuals. They have a link to it. So I was feeling really proud of that. I'm really glad about it. Include cyber attack response in the emergency preparedness plan. Collaborate with local partners and health organizations to ensure there are established strategies for combating cyber attacks. This impacts the entire community if it's a big attack on a hospital, regardless of the size of the hospital. If it's a small hospital, it's because there's not a lot of other hospitals. This is all you got. So it really is something that the community has to participate in a lot of ways. And the patient and family engagement element is to emphasize the importance of cybersecurity precautions with patients and family, especially those accessing the network or related apps. I thought that was something, we don't talk about that enough, that, some health systems have done that. They teach the community in like parent organizations and that stuff in the schools or community organizations, teach them cybersecurity concepts so that they're also teaching employees. Because, if I get you to do it at home, you're probably going to do it at work. So I think that's a huge thing, and we should find out another way to do it. And then, of course, workforce safety and awareness, that's about training, about what's effective, how to handle it, how to handle a breach. And I thought this was important that they added in here. In the event of a breach, ensure staff have adequate resources to deliver care while systems are down, enacting certain response protocols, surge protocols, all of those things, and ensure rotating. Right.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah. Rotation and rest for staff when responding to a cyber attack. Because, I mean, you're talking really long hours, and this is the technical people, the administrative people, and the clinical people. Everybody's got a lot of stress on them in these events. And having counseling and resources available in the midst of it as well as after it.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely want people to not be making poor decisions in the midst of something that's already problematic.
Mm-hmm. So, and they go into all the training we've talked about, a litany of different training and detecting incidents and knowing what to do and understanding what, a threat and a vulnerability is, and then doing tabletop exercises.
Mm-hmm.
So all the things that we talk about doing, in fact, you know what? We're going to talk about all that at the boot camp, David.
No. Yep. We'll be covering every bit of that at Price Boot Camp.
And well, no, I mean, I can't think of anything we're covering that wouldn't be in there. Between the risk management parts of it and the training and patient engagement and patient safety, and I think it's all covered.
There we go. We'll just invite ECRI to come into the boot camp.
There you go. It'll be perfect, David. Just perfect.
Yeah. All right. I think we've hit it all. So now you understand why AI has a patient safety problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more that we'll be talking about AI over the course of the next 10 years.
Yeah, and it only further points out it's a good thing that we had the cyber safety as patient safety thing going on, because AI is just making all of that explode.
Yep. It's wonderful and scary all at the same time.
Yes. I'm excited and terrified.
It's the best place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not somewhat terrified, that terrifies me. It's like when somebody's like, oh, my cybersecurity is great. And I'm like, okay, you're already scaring me.
No.
You should always question it. But anyway, that is our show for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to join us again next week. And remember, for Donna and myself, that HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.